Ta-da! Hey everybody, it's Dr. Susan Bernstein. I'm so excited to be with you all today and to help you close your confidence gap. I just want to say that this is going to be a very informal conversation, if I can do that. I really invite you to add your comments in the Q&A or in the chat section. And please know that there's this weird delay. Thanks to a few people who let me know, I did a practice run last week, that when I speak and when you actually hear it, there's somewhere between 20 to 50 seconds between those. And the reason that that happens is that we're live recording right into YouTube. It's kind of fun. So this is actually going to be available to you very soon after we finish tonight. So we're going to go till 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 10 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know how to translate that into anything in the Atlantic time zone. I mean, I do, but I have to think about it. But I'm just super glad to have you here, and I really want to invite you to go into, you should see, if you've logged in through Google, you should be able to see on the screen the Q&A section, and you can enter your Q's, and I will give you an A. Meaning that you can enter a question that you want me to answer about confidence, and I will do my best to give you an answer. By the way, if you're watching and you want to invite some friends, send them the link that you're watching and have them join. And I think this is going to be it'll be a fun event. It will be more fun. Sorry, just adjusting things so you can see more of me. I think you'll have more fun. We have more people and if you ask questions. So if there's a particular question that you have about confidence, I really invite you to ask it in the Q&A section or in the chat section, and I'll check those regularly. And by the way, I will happily keep your question confidential, meaning that it's anonymous. You don't have to say, Barry has this question about blah, 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 because I know that sometimes it's kind of touchy, like, wait a minute. There's something I'm not feeling confident about. I don't want the whole world to know that. So with all that said, I want to share with you what's the impetus. Why am I doing this thing about confidence? It's really two things. First, no, it's three things. First, in working with my own business coach, we've been reading an article, and I think I'll share with you. Let's see if I can do this easily. I'm going to switch gears. Yeah, let's see if I can pull that up. I'm going to pull my screen up. I'm going to do this in just a second because I'm missing the window for it. But essentially, the Atlantic magazine had an article. Okay, I can't find that super easily, and I want to stay with you. But the Atlantic Monthly had an article about the confidence gap, and both myself and my coach read that, and we were talking about, particularly for women, the issue of confidence comes up, right? All kinds of reports show that we women don't show as much confidence as men do. But when my coach and I started talking about that, we realized that women were asked to be confident in very masculine environments in business. And what we're not saying in business is, hey, how about making some of these environments a little more feminine? And I don't mean that they need to be pink or frilly. What I do mean is feminine or more yin, receptive, open, warm. Lots of companies can be very closed, very rigid, I remember working at Intel and feeling like I was playing bingo. I would go up, I worked on the 5th floor, and I was in pod B5. And like, bingo! Because it was such rigid little cubicles and ways of doing things, and everything then was about the bottom line. And so if we're going to get measured on confidence, maybe we ought to think about some feminine ways of doing business to be measured against. And hey, are all men comfortable with those ways, using the intuitive ways of knowing, for example, that are very feminine? So there's a lot that I got really curious about confidence and actually riled up too about that article. Two is I was talking to my dear friend Tara Christoph, who's also a coach, and she said, Susan, you light up every time you talk about a client who's lacking confidence and you help them. I thought, that's so true. And so I thought it would be just so much fun to share this whole perspective about confidence with all of you. So I'll be doing that. And then third, I've really watched so many of my own clients dealing with confidence struggles. And I want to say this, it's not just women. I thought that issues like feeling like you're an imposter at work, or feeling like you don't measure up, or comparing yourself to others in unfavorable ways was something that women alone faced. And in the last 10 years, and particularly in the last 3 years, I've seen that men have this issue too. So it's something that I see a lot with people who share these 3 common factors. They're smart, they're creative, and they're emotionally sensitive. It can be a wonderful thing to have all 3 of those: smart, creative, and emotionally sensitive. But sometimes that's a really horrible combination if you don't know what to do with it. Sometimes being smart makes you think, well, I was more clever than everybody else. I came up with a better answer. Why aren't I getting the promotion? Why aren't I moving forward? And sometimes when you're really creative, you have these ideas, you can see the world in a way that other people don't, and people are like, I don't get you. And that's not comfortable. We all want a feeling of inclusion. And then we can also feel that when we're emotionally sensitive, like, God, why don't I have a thicker skin? People are always telling me, get over it. But I feel. And so I see that combination not only with women, but also with men, of being smart, creative, and sensitive. And that plays with confidence. That really toys with some people's confidence levels. So tonight, I want to share my thoughts on confidence with you. And what I also want to do as I do that is I want to share some ways to get more confident. And then I'm going to share at the end some things that you can do with me if you care to work together. So I'll keep that part brief, I promise. But some of you may feel that there's some more work I could do around confidence, and so I'll share with you how to do that if you're interested. And I promise to make it low pitch, more about the, hey, what's possible? So what happens when we're not confident? I believe that what's happening when we're not confident is 2 parts. The first part of what can happen when we're not confident is we don't know our material. We don't have the competency, and that's different than the confidence. So let's say you're trying out something new. You've never done it before. It's totally unfamiliar territory. So I remember one of the things that I did very early on in my career in the late 80s. Yikes! Not tell you how old I am. And I was asked to make a video for my company. I was working for a company that's now owned by Franklin Covey, the organizer people, and I needed to make a time management video. And I had 1 week to do it, and it was for a government bid. In the late 80s, doing a video in 1 week, like really hard work. It's still hard now, but we've got the technology. I could do it, here at my own laptop. But then I had to hire a videographer, I had to find talent, and we were on a shoestring budget, so I had to train people in our company to be actors and actresses. I had to get the right video shots. I had to be able to tell somebody how to type in all the labels on the video pieces, like names and titles, and it was a lot of work. So there I was doing this thing that I had no idea how to do. I had no confidence. I was feeling shaky and nervous, but I was so interested and excited to do it that somehow I pulled it off in a week. And we sent the videotape in, FedEx envelope. Maybe it wasn't even FedEx then, but we sent it off to Washington, D.C. And unfortunately, we didn't win the bid. But it was really a lot of fun to do this, right? So, but there have been other things that I've had to do that I have no idea how to do. When I was in management consulting, I'd been in the profession almost 3 years, and I was asked to do some process mapping. And what process mapping is essentially you look at a flow of how something's done, like how a hamburger gets made at McDonald's. You put in the order, they pull up the patty, they put it on the grill, they grill both sides, for a certain amount of time, then they put these ingredients on, they put it on a bun, they put it in a wrapper, they put it in a bag, right? You map that as a process. I had never learned how to do that in my work. It had just never come up, and I didn't have enough time in my free time to be studying how to do that before I got put on this project. And lo and behold, I have no idea how to do this, and the pressure's on. We've got an incredible deadline beyond anything I'd seen before, and our team is so pressed that nobody can help me. Did I have confidence? No way! I was confident in who I was as a human being at that point, and in being a good management consultant and really listening to my clients, but I didn't have the competence. I didn't have the experience, so I didn't really know what in the world to do. So in that kind of an experience, I'm talking about the competence side. Sometimes we can feel shaky if we don't know how to do something. But what about if you don't feel confident in yourself? And what I see happen when somebody doesn't feel confident in themselves is three things. When we don't feel confident in ourselves, it has a lot to do with what we're telling ourselves, the story in our brain, the anti-affirmations that we say to ourselves. I'm an idiot, I should know, why am I messing up so badly, how come I'm not making more money, how come I don't have a higher title, how come all these bad things, right? So it has a lot to do with our psychology and especially what we say to ourselves. Something else that happens is that we actually get anxious, right? When you're not confident, you're anxious, right? You're uptight, you're nervous, you're scared, you're worried about what's going to happen, and you're uninspired. And what I mean by that is literally uninspired. I mean that you're not breathing fully. Think about something that you're not confident at. Maybe you're not confident when you walk into a networking event and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to say to these people? Or you're not confident when you have to talk to your boss's boss. Oh, that person is such a big wig and I am just this tiny little thing. Oh no, I'm scared, right? Or you have this situation where, any kind of situation where you're anxious, right? You're not breathing fully. You're breathing that should go all the way down into your belly. It's all the way up here. And sometimes your voice might go up an octave. Oh, I'm so scared. I don't know why I'm so scared. I won't kill you anymore with that awful voice. But, you know, we can get so frightened that we cut off our oxygen and we're literally uninspired. So I see that as another part of confidence, that when you're not breathing fully, it's hard to be literally inspired. But when we're not confident, we're scared and we grip. And that's the third piece of it, is that we stiffen ourselves. When you're confident, do you like, yeah, flowing and flexible and free? No, you're like, oh my God. You're like glued in place. Think about a time you have lacked confidence, whatever it might be in. And I don't think that people globally lack confidence. There are things you may be very confident about. But the things you're not confident about, the situations where you lack confidence, notice your body. I invite you in this moment to think of one of those and then notice, does your body tighten up any? Do you clamp down on yourself more? Because if you do, that's a very common thing that we do when we lack confidence. It's almost like, I'm just going to batten down the hatches and get all tight, and oh, if I just hold myself here in place, everything might get better. Probably not, but that's kind of how we treat ourselves. So I'm curious to know, I just shared 3 things that I see happen when we lack confidence. The thoughts in our head can get stinking. I call it, some people call that stinking thinking. Yeah, that we tell ourselves anti-affirmations. We say things to ourselves that are negative. That's 1. 2 is we don't breathe as much. We get uninspired. And 3rd is we get rigid, or we stop moving, or we constrict our movement. So if you look at those as anti-affirmations, and you look at those as lack of inspiration, and you look at those as stopping motion, which one of those, I'm curious, this is my cue to you, I hope you'll A back in the Q&A section. Which one of those do you do to yourself most? Do you do anti-affirmation? Do you stop your inspiration? Or do you cut off the motion in your body? I'd love to know. So, this is totally anonymous, so you can just type it and I'll see it, but nobody else should see it. So, yeah. So to send your in this case answer. I would love to see that from you. If you would, and this will take a little second or two to hear back. But you can also, by the way, use the chat box and chat with me during this, and I'll do my best to bring up stuff. And you'll be able to see each other's comments. So, well, so one person says that they do the anti-affirmation. Yeah, I got that. And it looks like I got a private message that says, this is another person who does anti-affirmation. There's somebody else about, I stop breathing, no inspiration, yes. And no inspiration, another one. Another one with no inspiration. Okay, so we've got a blend of those. It doesn't sound like the motion piece may be less familiar to you, what you do to your body. We may not be aware that we grip and constrict and hold and tighten. So I'm going to give you a kind of an unorthodox prescription about what you can do to close your confidence gap. And it has to do with these three elements that has everything to do with affirmation, recreating affirmations for yourself, affirming yourself. 2, inspiration, inspiring yourself. And 3, motion, and how you actually move your body. Now, the last two, breathing, maybe you're familiar with, but motion, what? And maybe you haven't really thought about affirmations and what you say to yourself. So I want to bring that in. So I'm going to give you my antidote to not feeling confident. And if you have any questions along the way, please let me know. And I'm curious what you think about this kind of trifecta of what I believe is important to have. What are the foundations, the baseline, if you will, of confidence? Again, that confidence being all about having your affirmations, your inspiration, and your motion. I'm curious what you think about it. So if you want to answer, put that in the Q&A section, or you want to put that in chat and be able to talk with each other about that, I'd love to see what you're thinking. Make your thinking transparent, please. Love to know. I mean, here I am just broadcasting out, and it's always helpful to have some input. So I would love to see your shares. So here's the thing. The first one is affirmations. What I find when I'm working with somebody and I can hear their lack of confidence, or they just come right out and say, Susan, I'm not confident in blank area, whatever that area might be. What I notice in that is that they're saying something to themselves that gets in the way of themselves. What do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes we tell ourselves things that aren't really affirming to ourselves. It's a way that here's a phrase that I like to use. Don't believe everything you think. You see, sometimes we'll tell ourselves stuff like, you really messed up. What a jerk you are. You're never going to make anything out of this. I mean, you could share some of your own, the things that you say to yourself. But what I find is that many people aren't aware that they're using what I'd call anti-affirmations, these negations of themselves. And that's just no fun. It's no fun to do that, but we may do it in a way where we're really unaware. We don't know that we're doing it. So what I want to invite is that for the next week, you make it an experiment to start to notice when you tell yourself this crummy stuff about yourself. Now, it's probably something really new for some of you, and for some of you, you're like, yeah, I know, I'm into looking at my beliefs and my thoughts and what I say to myself. What I want to add to your practice, if you're not already doing this, is I want to suggest that you start paying attention to three things when you start noticing you're talking to yourself. Just a thing for us to notice anyway. Many of us don't notice, like, oh, I'm saying something to myself. But how can you be aware that you're doing that? How can you trust that inner compass? You can see that compass up back there. How about your inner compass? So three signs that you can pay attention to that are body-centered. The first of those signs is constriction, getting tight, and that relates back to the motion that I'm going to get to. When you notice you start tightening up, are you being tight on yourself? Are you a tight ass? Did I just say that? I did. Yeah, are you being a tight ass with yourself? Like, we really literally constrict. And then you can start to notice, did I just say something to myself that makes me go pull in tight, like doesn't feel good in your body, your muscles just grip? Another thing you can start to do when you say stuff to yourself is, what happens in your body? Do you start feeling heavy or do you feel light? So the contrast you can watch for are constriction versus expansion. Do I feel expanded or do I feel made small by what I just said to myself? And when I say something to myself, do I feel heavy and weighted down? Or do I feel light and free and easy? What's going on in my body? And then another one that you can ask yourself is, where's my breathing? Is it deep or shallow? Again, this relates to that second principle. So you can start to see these are kind of a constellation of things that I'm asking you to pay attention to in yourself to notice your confidence level. So let's say you start saying to yourself, I'm never going to make it. And then you notice you feel kind of heavy with that thought, like, I'm never going to make it. Ooh, that doesn't feel light and easy, and it feels really constricting and heavy. So that's where you can go back and write down what you just said to yourself and then go upgrade to make it really an affirmation. Like, hey, I don't need to say this stuff to myself. What would be a more positive thing that I could say in this moment? Now, I'm not asking you to say to yourself, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know why anybody ever compares to sliced bread, but okay. I'm not asking you to take on something massive that you don't yet believe, but how could you upgrade what you're thinking? So let's say I say to myself, I'm just never going to make it. You can say to yourself something like, you know what, it's possible I could make it. It's possible that something good could happen. And my favorite way, one of my absolute favorite ways, I shouldn't say the favorite, because I like a number of different ways, but one of my favorite ways to upgrade thinking is to start to notice, is to play with this phrase, what if, in a positive way. Like, what if I'm actually really great? What if things are going to turn out just fine? What if people really like me? Notice which statements start making you feel lighter, less constricted, more inspired, and use those again and again and again. So those are things that you can come back to and feel really assured. So that's one technique around affirming yourself instead of anti-affirmations that I use with people around thoughts, because thoughts can keep us from feeling confident. Whether you're trying something new, whether you're trying something like, God, I always try to do this thing and I have such a hard time, whatever it might be, start noticing your thoughts that keep you from confidence, that are the opposite of confidence, and start upgrading them by noticing how they make you feel in your body, and especially playing with fun what ifs. What if this all goes great? What if you're all having fun on this call? So, or this video conference. So if you're all having fun in the Google Hangout and you want to ask me a question or put something in chat, I'd be happy to answer that for you. So one question that I did get in advance that I want to answer for somebody who asked it is, so let's say I'm not confident. And I'm not confident because of what somebody else says to me. Like my boss says something crummy to me, like, you don't actually know what you're doing here. Or somebody says, I'm really concerned about your performance. And they say it very tight and rigidly, and it kind of scares you. It like makes you even less confident. So what do you do about that? So here's the thing. You are the expert on you. Let me say that again. You are the expert on you. Yes, other people's comments and things, if we're sensitive, may go in and like, that's not comfortable. And we want to be liked. It's a natural human desire to be liked, right? We want to be part of the tribe. It's the safe thing to do, to be part of. However, you're also an individual. You have your own self. And the thing I want to ask you is if somebody else says something that starts to concern your confidence, is for you to go inside and ask yourself, one, how truthful is what they're saying? What's my own truth meter tell me? Are they being true? Two is, do they have any motives? Like, might this person want to make me scared? Might this person just be completely unaware that what they say has an impact? Maybe this person just really has it in for me. So you have to question their motives, but really the important motive is your own. So yes, somebody else can say something, and I think it's for you to ask yourself, developmentally, is if I'm going to grow, is this person's comment helping me grow or hurting my growth? And how could I turn their words around and make it an affirmation so that the boss says, I have some real developmental concerns about you. Like, oh, first of all, that could just be a statement. Ask the boss, well, what are those developmental concerns? Check it out. Open up the facts so that you're not dealing with opinion, but real facts. And if that boss says that to you, you also want to really check out where's the growth in that, and how can you grow? And I want to encourage you to be the expert on your own growth. Where do you really need to grow? Early on in my career, I really gave a lot of my power away to let other people tell me how to grow. And that really burst my confidence. I didn't know. And I believe we really actually do know. And it's from how we're feeling about ourselves, what we feel pulled to instead of having to push ourselves to. So if I felt in management consulting, I didn't feel pulled to do Excel spreadsheets and make endless PowerPoint slides. Don't push that away. But I did feel pulled to work with clients, especially one-on-one, to talk about the changes that we'd be making in their organization. And that's where there was a pull. So I could feel more confident around that. And there was like, oh, I could have used that as a lever to see, or as a signal really, to see where I could build more confidence in things I am good at. I want to say one last thing before I move on about this. And this is very much my own perspective on this. I know it's shared too, but play to your strengths, not to those things, not try to shore up all your weaknesses. You're going to enjoy your career so much more if you're playing to what you want to develop, what you feel called and pulled and moved to work on, as opposed to things, I have to force myself to do this, I don't really want to. Oh, where's the momentum in that? Where's the juice, the juju, the mojo to follow? It's not there. So, okay, so I've just given you a whole ton on dealing with the thoughts up there in your head that hold you back from confidence. Again, if you have any questions on anything I'm sharing, either go over to the group chat or go to the Q&A and put your questions in. And I did get some questions in advance on some of these things, so I will be sharing those too. Okay. Part number 2, inspiration. Inspiration is a huge piece of closing your confidence gap. So when you're not confident, especially when you're doing something new, something unfamiliar, maybe something even familiar that you're being watched, right? Like performance, like, oh, I'm presenting something I really know well at work, but I'm in front of the A team, the C-level executives. Oh my God, now all of a sudden I don't feel confident. What am I supposed to do? So one of the best things I think you can do is to be inspired, to breathe. Our breathing really matters, and most of us are breathing. Actually, all of us are breathing if we're alive. I'm teasing around with you. My mom likes to say when I'm like, hey, Mom, are you breathing? She's like, what do you think? Of course I'm still alive. I'm like, oh, got it. No, what the question really is are you breathing consciously? So one of my teachers' teachers, I love to give credit where things come from. One of my teachers' teachers was a man by the name of John Pirakos. And he had a saying that I absolutely love and have taken very much to heart. And that is, anxiety is excitement without the breath. So when you're not confident, you're anxious, right? You're like, oh God, what's going to happen? I don't know if everything's going to work out right. I'm starting to get scared. Oh no, ah. And that dialogue, that inner dialogue, the anti-affirmations you're telling yourself usually go up and up and up, and your breathing level goes down, down, down. And you're like, oh my God, instead of breathing 100% of my capacity, I'm breathing like 30%. Well, when you cut off your oxygen as little as 30%, you're cutting off a primary food to your brain. Your brain needs oxygen, right? You can live for something like 10 days without food and like 3 days without water. But you can only live 3 minutes without breathing. Breathing is essential, and our brains absolutely need our breath. So when you're anxious, it may be, or not confident, right? I think those two are very aligned, anxiety and lack of confidence. What can be happening is that you're not breathing fully. You're scared. And when we're scared, we grip, we constrict, we pull in. And then our breathing goes up to here. And so your brain isn't getting all the oxygen it needs to think clearly. So of course that's going to make you even less confident, even more anxious. Fancy that, right? So I believe it's really important, if you feel like you're lacking confidence, to practice breathing consciously. And one of the things that you can do in practicing breathing consciously is to ask yourself, am I breathing deep? Like, where's my breath actually going? And you put a hand on your chest and your belly. You can't see my belly here, which is a good thing today. But put a hand on your chest and your belly and feel. Can you feel when you do an inhalation that your belly expands and your chest rises? If you're actually breathing the other way, if when you breathe in, you can go like this and your belly comes in. And that's called reverse breathing, or sometimes it's called paradoxical breathing. It's reversed, and it's a good way for you to know you're really freaked out, really scared, really not confident. So what you want to start doing is noticing the depth of your breathing, the speed of your breathing. You want to slow it down. And the fullness. So how deep is it going? How slow is it going? How full? Oh, excuse me. Breathing really fully can make you sleepy. Just kidding. I'm not breathing really fully. I'm honestly a little nervous, not lacking confidence, just a little like, oh my gosh, I'm on video. Live video too. With people watching. So here's the thing. You want to slow your breathing down. And if you can slow your breathing down to 8 cycles a minute or less, you kind of can't be nervous. So that's really about 7.5 seconds a breathing cycle. So let's just do that together. So if you breathe in, try to count to 7 with one hand. So breathe in for 7, then hold for just a second, and then breathe out for 7. I'm gonna put that middle finger up. I need to count like a little kid, right? But 7 seconds in, 7 seconds out. That's about 14 seconds with about a second in between. If you can get your cycles down that slow. And I invite you to breathe through your nose. I believe that's very much what you do in yogic breathing. It's more connected to, it's easier to pace, and you also won't change the temperature. If you breathe through your mouth, you just let yourself breathe in like that and suck in. You'll feel it get cooler. In your nose, you won't do that as readily. I actually teach my clients a whole host of breathing techniques. Did you know that each nostril um, changes how you feel. So yogic technologies say that your left nostril is for calming, relaxing, and your right nostril is for energizing, invigorating, and that you're breathing through both nostrils, but one is dominant about every hour, and they switch about every hour which one is dominant. It's kind of interesting. And you can actually play with this. So as an example, I lose confidence when I feel claustrophobic. And a few weeks ago, I got on BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. That's our train system in the Bay Area, our subway system. And I got in during rush hour. Rush hour, and the same day that a Giants game had just let out. The San Francisco Giants were playing that day. It's gorgeous, gorgeous day outside just last month. And I get on the train, and for those of you who haven't met me in person, I'm teeny weeny, I'm very petite. I don't clear 5 feet tall without a pair of heels on. I'm this itty bitty thing. And the train is completely packed, so there's no seats left. And when the doors closed, I'm pressed up against the subway doors. I have somebody's backpack in my face. He's wearing it on his back, and I say, "Excuse me, could you move that?" And he's, "Move." And then a woman next to me has her elbow in my side, and my nose is at somebody else's armpit level. Not so pleasant. I'm trying to do some nasal gymnastics to, like, yikes, this isn't pleasant, right? So what am I going to do to stay calm, not anxious, and confident while I'm on that train? I'm confident that I have it all together and not wanting to. I did want to punch somebody or to jump out the train doors, which were closed, of course. We're moving. So, and I'm just getting more and more constricted, and I feel like I'm literally up against, well, a door, but a wall in the train. And I have very, very little personal space. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I was really at my wit's end. I was really feeling not confident, not, very anxious, very uptight, very frightened, actually. And then it occurred to me, because I had worked with somebody earlier in the day about their breath, I'm like, oh, how can I calm myself? I'll do left nostril breathing. So if you close off your right nostril, and breathe in and out only through your left nostril with your mouth closed. In about 2 minutes, you'll calm yourself down. It's pretty amazing. So I did that for myself. And I even posted it on Facebook because I was so excited when I got home. I shared the story that left nostril breathing really works. So it's something that you can try for yourself when you're really feeling a need to be calm. And calm helps with confidence. Those two go together really nicely. If you want to calm yourself, maybe you have to go in the restroom before a presentation or close the door somewhere. Just maybe you're in a meeting and you just kind of lean your hand over and, sitting there with a bowl or on the table. Nobody has to know what you're doing. Maybe you just look tired. All right, whatever. But breathe through this nostril for about 2 minutes and you'll be calm. Other way around, this one, if you breathe through your right nostril for a minute or two, you energize yourself. I actually got a note from a client a few months ago after I'd taught a workshop about the 2 different nostrils. And totally amazing to me, she said, it was a Friday late afternoon. She'd had a really hectic week at work. And her husband came to her and said, "Hey, we have those symphony tickets. You ready to go?" And she was like, I kind of feel pretty exhausted. I mean, I want to go. I really like the symphony. I'm so glad we got these tickets. But what am I going to do? She's like, "Give me 2 minutes." And she did right nostril breathing for 2 minutes. She's like, "Honey, I'm ready to go." She wrote me this note. She goes, "Oh my gosh, this really works." So, but bottom line here is that your breathing, literally your inspiration, can help your confidence. And I would love, love, love you work together with me to share with you all kinds of breathing techniques. And if you're interested in me hosting a breathing techniques workshop, I'd love to do that online. If that's of interest to you, will you drop me a note and say, "Teach that breathing workshop, Susan, I need it." And let me know what's pushing that need for you, because I would love to do that. Okay, third piece I said I'd talk about is motion. Now, what does motion have to do with confidence, being in motion? I could say it has lots to do with exercise, which yes, we know these days the benefits of exercise, that it's putting, positive endorphins in your blood system, it's giving you lots and lots of energy. That's all great for confidence. But there's something else in motion. Motion wakes up our brain. It wakes up the best parts of our brain for our creativity. That's why I'm constantly telling people, don't sit down at your desk. I happen to be sitting now because it makes it the easiest to get a good angle here. But if you can, stand up at your desk. Do a stand-up meeting at work. You'll find you'll have more energy, but it also makes you move your body. And when we move our bodies, there's a number of different brain mechanisms that get woken up. So that's why you see little kids in classrooms. I did my clinical internship in an elementary school, so it was a kindergarten through 5th grade elementary school. And you watch these kids running around in the classroom, and that's actually good for them. It gets their brains going. And I would get a little upset with teachers like, sit down, don't move. Like, wait, movement helps the brain. It wakes up our brains. There's also something about movement that when we're not confident, we lock down. We get rigid. Maybe we get rigid like this, or we get rigid like this. We get uptight, right? Tight. We tighten. And it's normal to brace against something scary, but we can get scared by all kinds of things that have nothing to do with our base survival level. Our brain just doesn't recognize, it can see any threat as like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So when you're not feeling confident, one of the best things you can do is to shake it up. I mean, literally shake out your body. So you can think about that thing that you're lacking confidence in and just imagine that you can let it out your limbs. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to do this in the middle of a meeting because people might think something else was going on with you, but you can do it in the restroom. Thank you for having a good laugh with me. You can do it in the restroom. You can do it behind closed doors. Maybe you can do it in your car if it's parked far away in the parking lot at work. But shake. And if you can't shake there, wiggle something. Wiggle your fingers, like tap them on the tabletop. I had one of my clients who's like, she works for a big law firm. They have a big conference table. Sometimes she's sitting around it with a bunch of other attorneys, most of whom are much more senior than she is. And she's like, oh my God, I'm losing confidence. And I'm like, well, just wiggle your hands under the table. She said, yeah, we have a glass conference table, Susan. Not such a good idea. So then wiggle your toes in your shoes. It works. It's just like, let that movement happen in your body. The more you can stay fluid and flexible, I don't mean you need to dance in the meeting, but life is a dance. It's really a dance with this confidence. So you can think of it as a confidence. Confidence. It's like getting comfy again in your body. The more you can be fluid and flexible, the easier it is to be confident. It's like, oh. So start noticing where you start gripping yourself when you're not confident. And find that part in your body. You can send it some inspiration with your breath. And you can also move. Like, And you can also use the positive affirmations. With every move I make, I'm getting more and more confident. With every move I make, I'm trusting myself more and more. With every move I make, things just become easier. Hey, wait, this is really happening. It's pretty fun. So you can play with using movement as a way to stay confident. This is especially important when you're doing something new for the first time. Remember I was talking about that when I was in management consulting, I had to do this process mapping out how things work, one step at a time. And I was doing it for, in that case, big healthcare company, and trying to understand how they administered certain forms and financial stuff, which was, it's not like trying to map out making burgers at McDonald's. It was a lot more complex and a lot more esoteric, hard to, you can't see and get your hands around, except maybe the online documents, and you can't really get your hand around that. So here I was doing this thing that was totally unfamiliar to me. And at that point in my life, I wasn't really confident when I had to walk into those situations. And I just made it worse by getting more and more anxious and telling myself that I couldn't do it, and I didn't have enough help, and I made myself really helpless. It wasn't a very wise thing to do. Flash forward in my life now, and there are many things that I'm doing for the first time. I went to a speaker's event, and even though I've been speaking for at least 10 years, probably longer, there were new techniques to try out, and I was like, oh, I cringe at how something came out of my mouth, or we were doing some, how do you block a scene if you're doing a whole presentation and making it dynamic, and I was like, oh, I'm just not getting this. And then I had to laugh. So one of the best things you can do is laugh not at yourself, but with yourself. Like, okay, all right. But it really, really helped me to move. And to move, the thing that I was really moving is that awkward energy. So there's a difference between being frightened and having no idea what to do next, which we don't have to really not know what to do next. And that feeling of this is awkward, I'm not sure, and letting yourself be in that shaky awkwardness. So if you actually let yourself be shaky, you might shake a little. Like literally let your body shake some. And know that you're gonna feel shaky and awkward when you're doing something for the first time. And that if you let that be normal and natural, as opposed to something like, I should know how to do this, I'm an expert, oh damn. You watch a little kid, a very little kid, especially like little kids learning to walk, they kind of fall a lot and then giggle and sometimes cry, but mostly like push themselves back up and get up and like wobble, 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 I'm all awkward, and boom, fall and then get back up. Well, we adults, the thing that's in our way that keeps us from doing that is all the evaluations that we do. Instead of telling us affirmation that's positive, like, hey, I'm just learning something new, I need this, it's all right if it's a little shaky and awkward. Oh, and we just move with it, like let the shakies out. Just let them out. Let yourself be in that in-between space between I know nothing and I'm learning. Like, oh, I could fill that space with feeling good about myself instead of knocking myself. So up there on stage when I was trying to learn some new skills, I just started realizing like, oh, I actually told the group, I said, I'm nervous, so I'm going to shake a little now. Let some of that go. And they were like, wow, okay. It was just like being real in the moment. They didn't mind at all. In fact, they were really encouraging because I was very much being myself. And that's so important in your confidence. Being your best self instead of being some idea of who you are. Like letting yourself be, like trusting that, what if you trusted? What if you made it your affirmation, your inspiration, and your motion that I am letting myself be my best self in this moment. I'm inviting that to emerge now. How much more fun, light, and easy things would be instead of, I have to get it right, I'm going to be mean to myself and just buckle down and get it dang right. I don't like that. That's scary. Yuck. No, thank you. So anyway, let me take one more question. I want me to share one more question that I got online. And if you have other questions and you want to shoot them in my Q&A or put it in the chat, I would love, 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 did I say it enough, to hear from you? But I'm going to answer this question. Oh, yeah. So the question is that I got from somebody, again, before today's program is, so I just started a new job and I don't feel so confident about it. And I'm not actually sure if I took the right job. What do I do? First, I really invite you to give yourself time. Like, if you're deciding day one, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, please give yourself some time. It generally takes people 2 to 3 months minimum to start feeling like they belong, like things are okay. So I would really encourage you to give this time. It's also really important that you start looking for the things that will boost your confidence, and especially those that will boost your confidence about things you feel good about, that you enjoy doing, you feel pulled into. So find that part of your job, what in the work you signed up for. Maybe it was that you get to talk to clients all the time, or you get to do some creative work, or you're doing some research that really lights you up. Immerse yourself in that, and then start noticing what are the thoughts you tell yourself about what you're not confident at. And you can also talk to the people, well, let me finish that thought. So the things that you don't feel confident at, write them down so it's not just a list in your head that's mucky and mucking around. Write it down and then make a plan. First see if those are real confidence issues, and if they are, what can you do? And it's a great place to ask your manager or coworkers, hey, I'd like to develop some more skills in this area. Don't say just skills, because then it sounds like I don't have any. I want to develop some more skill in working with these kinds of clients, working with this computer system, knowing how to do this procedure, whatever it might be. Ask for help and support. You're not meant to do everything in the world alone and figure it all out. In fact, our confidence usually plummets when we're trying to put the world on our shoulders and I'll figure it all out by myself. I don't need all the rest of you. I got this figured out. And it doesn't really usually help your confidence, even though you're like, well, if I can do it myself, then that makes me a confident person. Not necessarily. It could just make you a lonely person. So I really encourage you to ask for support and check out if that work is bothering you because it's just so new and you're not letting yourself have that awkward, shaky time, or is it just not a really good fit? And I think you need the time to figure that out. So I would really encourage you to be generous with yourself. Time. I hope that helps. So I want to also share with you something really cool that I'm doing this month. Yay! Hang on, we're going to move over and I think I'm doing this right. Hang on, we will look in just a second. Nope. Here we go. There we go. Close your confidence gap. Free online event. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Well, all right, let's do this. Okay, I'm going to have to go find. Ooh, I'm having a hard time finding this. Hang on. Not that. Okay, give me just a second. We're going to do something a little slow here. Be patient with me. I tried. I'm still learning to use this, but there we go. There we go. It's almost the same. Close your confidence gap. So if you would like to work with me to close your confidence gap, you might think about these kinds of situations where you wish you felt more confident. Maybe you'd feel confident. You want to feel more confident to leave a job that doesn't fit you any longer. I work a lot with people in that situation. You want to feel confident to stand up to your manager or your colleagues. You want to feel more confident to speak your opinions in meetings and interactions. You want to feel more confident to connect easily with new people at networking events or tackle a big, hairy new project. It's that whole awkward thing. Step up into leadership or earn what you're worth. I am offering you a set of sessions. So I've worked with a number of people to do this, and it's really something that I call the Close the Confidence Gap consultation. It's something where you're going to get 4 benefits. You'll find that I send you these clarity questions about what's going on with your confidence, and just answering those can help you feel more confident. Then you'll get 2 sessions with me. The first one is 90 minutes long. And we're going to get to the bottom of what's holding you back. from your confidence. I feel very lucky that I have a gift for getting people right to the bottom of what they don't feel confident about. You'll get a recording of this session so you don't miss a thing, and I will give you lots of activities and things to do from that coaching session that will help you close your confidence gap. It may be breathing techniques, it may be motions, it may be affirmations, it may be something totally original that I create just for you. But you're going to get your mind and your body moving in the direction of the guidance that you really want. Between sessions, you're going to have unlimited email access to me, and then you'll get a second consultation with me up to 3 weeks later where you'll get to fine-tune what's happening. So here's the page you want to go to if you're interested in one of these sessions with me. It's sensationalshift/close-confidence-gap. So if you type that in, sensationalshift/close-confidence-gap, you'll get the information on it, or send me an email at info@sensationalshift.com and let me know you're interested. Basically, I'm going to be offering, let me go back over here, go back to me. So you put me back. There we go, here I am again, hello. If you're interested in one of those sessions, I have 5 available for June. June's a busy month for me. But I have time for 5 people to get those sessions with me, and you have to start that sometime in June. And I'm generally available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, based on whatever other clients have taken. But you can get a spot with me. We'll talk for an hour and a half to start, and then up to 3 weeks later, you'll have your follow-up session with me. You've got unlimited email access to me because I would love to help you close your confidence gap. So you can learn all about those sessions, which you need to apply to, because I've got a number of people asking for them, and I want to take people who I know I can be of great help to. I want to make sure we're a match. So you'll see on that page, the close-confidence-gap page on, if you go to sensationalshift.com/confidence, close / you know what I said. sensationalshift.com/close-confidence-gap, or just email me if you want that list at info@sensationalshift.com. But I would love to do one of those sessions with you if it works. If you're curious, how much is it? It's $500, and I would ask you this for this investment. How much would it be worth to you to resolve this issue so you feel confident? How much is your own personal well-being worth to you? How much is it to you not have to deal with this anymore and feel good, feel sensational about yourself? So it's been such a pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you for being out there in Google Hangout land, and those of you who are going to be watching the live video, the recorded video, thank you so much. If you have any questions about things that I've covered or just want to be in touch and let me know how this has gone for you, please drop me a line. Again, it's info, I-N-F-O, @sensationalshift.com. Thank you so much. I salute you. I wish you great confidence, and if I can be of any help to you, please reach out. Take good care, and remember, if you want a sensational life, pay attention to your sensations. Let your body be your compass. Good night, everybody. Take care. Thank you.